The spaceship Serenity floated quietly in the vast emptiness of space. Its sleek, silver body reflected the distant stars, making it look like a shining jewel against the black backdrop. Inside, Captain Jaehwa sat in her command chair, her eyes fixed on the large screen in front of her. Jaehwa was young for a captain, only 32 years old, but her short black hair and sharp eyes showed she was serious about her job. She had worked hard to get here, and she was proud of her ship and crew. "Captain," called out Sung Min, the communications officer. His voice was calm, but there was a hint of excitement in it. "I'm picking up a signal. It's weak, but it's definitely there." Jaehwa sat up straight. This was unusual. They were in a part of space that was supposed to be empty. "Can you tell what it is?" she asked. Sung Min shook his head. "Not yet. It's not like anything I've heard before, but I think it might be a distress call." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this could mean. They might have found aliens, real, living aliens, for the first time in human history. "Put it on the speakers," Jaehwa ordered. A strange sound filled the bridge. It was a series of clicks and whistles, rising and falling in an odd pattern. It didn't sound like any language they knew, but there was something about it that made everyone feel uneasy. "It sounds scared," said Yuna, the ship's doctor. She had come to the bridge when she heard about the signal. "Like whatever's making it is in trouble." Jaehwa nodded slowly. She felt it too. Whatever was sending this signal needed help. But was it safe to answer? What if it was a trap? She turned to her first officer, Tai Yang. "What do you think?" she asked. Tai Yang was older than Jaehwa, with gray starting to show in his hair. He thought for a moment before speaking. "It's risky," he said. "We don't know what's out there, but isn't this why we're out here? To make new discoveries, to help if we can." Jaehwa smiled. This was why she liked Tai Yang. He always saw the big picture. "You're right," she said. Then, louder, she addressed the whole bridge. "All right, people. Let's see who's calling for help." The crew sprang into action. Fingers flew over control panels as they worked to pinpoint the signal source. "Got it," called out Min Seo, the navigator. "It's coming from a star system about 2 light years from here. We can be there in 3 days at top speed." "Good work," said Jaehwa. She took a deep breath. This was a big decision, but she knew it was the right one. "Set a course. We're going to answer that call." As the ship turned and its engines fired up, Jaehwa felt a mix of excitement and fear. They were heading into the unknown, possibly to meet the first aliens humans had ever encountered. And these aliens were in trouble. She thought about the risks. What if the aliens were dangerous? What if it was a trap set by space pirates? But then she remembered the sound of the signal. Whatever was out there was scared and alone. They needed help, and Serenity was the only ship around to give it. "Captain," said Yuna, interrupting her thoughts. "Should we wake up the wolves?" "Ah, yes. The wolves." Jaehwa had almost forgotten about their special passengers. In the cargo hold of Serenity, in special sleep pods, were 5 genetically enhanced wolves. They were part of a new program, bred and trained to help humans explore space. They were stronger, smarter, and more adaptable than regular wolves. And they were fiercely loyal to their human partners. Jaehwa thought for a moment. The wolves were supposed to be kept asleep during routine flights to save resources, but this wasn't routine anymore. "Yes," she decided. "Wake them up. I have a feeling we're going to need all the help we can get." As Yuna left to wake the wolves, Jaehwa turned back to the main screen. The stars streaked by as Serenity picked up speed. Somewhere out there, someone or something was waiting for them. Jaehwa didn't know what they would find, but she knew one thing for sure. Whatever happened, her crew and their wolf companions would face it together. The adventure had begun. The cargo hold of Serenity was usually quiet and dark, but now it was filled with the soft hum of machines and the gentle hiss of opening pod doors. 5 large, metal cylinders lined the wall, each big enough to hold a small car. As the lids lifted, cool mist poured out, and 5 pairs of eyes blinked open. Yuna, the ship's doctor, stood nearby, watching carefully. She smiled as the first wolf stepped out of its pod. "Welcome back, Bake," she said softly. Bake was the leader of the wolf pack. He was bigger than a normal wolf, with thick silver-gray fur and intelligent golden eyes. He shook himself, scattering water droplets from his coat, then looked up at Yuna with a questioning tilt of his head. "Yes, we woke you up early," Yuna explained, even though she knew Bake couldn't talk back. But these weren't ordinary wolves. They understood much more than anyone expected. One by one, the other wolves emerged from their pods. There was Sue, the fastest runner, with sleek black fur. Next came the twins, Dai and Yun, both with reddish-brown coats. Finally, Chin padded out, the smallest but smartest of the group. Yuna checked each wolf carefully, making sure they were healthy after their long sleep. As she worked, she explained why they had been awakened. "We've found a distress signal," she told them. "Captain HFY thinks we might need your help. We don't know what we're going to find out there." The wolves listened attentively, their ears perked forward. They seemed to understand the seriousness of the situation. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Captain HFY was preparing her crew for what lay ahead. "We don't know what we're going to find," she said, looking around at her team. "But whatever it is, we need to be ready. This could be the first contact between humans and an alien species." Tai Yang, the first officer, spoke up. "What about the wolves? How do we explain them to the aliens?" HFY smiled. "The wolves are part of our crew. They've been with us on every mission. If these aliens need our help, they'll have to accept all of us, humans and wolves alike." Just then, the door to the bridge slid open. Yuna walked in, followed by Buck. The big wolf padded silently to HFY's side and sat down, looking up at the main screen with curious eyes. "How are they?" HFY asked Yuna. "All 5 are in perfect health," Yuna reported. "They're ready for whatever comes next." HFY nodded, then turned to address the wolf. "Buck, we might need your help soon. There's someone out there who's in trouble. We're going to try to help them, but it might be dangerous." Buck's golden eyes met HFY's. He let out a soft whine and pressed his nose against her hand. The message was clear. Wherever the humans went, the wolves would follow. Over the next 2 days, the crew of Serenity prepared for their encounter with the unknown. The humans trained and planned, while the wolves exercised in the ship's large gym area. Sungmin, the communications officer, worked tirelessly to decipher the strange signal. "I think I'm starting to understand parts of it," he told HFY on the evening of the second day. "It's definitely a language, but like nothing we've ever heard before." As they got closer to the source of the signal, everyone on board felt a mix of excitement and fear. They were about to make history, but they were also heading into potential danger. On the morning of the 3rd day, Min Sio's voice rang out on the bridge. "Captain, we're approaching the coordinates of the signal source." HFY took a deep breath and stood up. Buck, who had hardly left her side for the past 2 days, stood up too. "All hands to stations," HFY ordered. "Yuna, bring the other wolves to the bridge. I want everyone here for this." As the crew rushed to obey, HFY looked down at Bake. "Well, old friend," she said quietly, "are you ready to meet some aliens?" Buck's tail wagged once, and he let out a soft bark. He was ready. The main screen flickered, and then an image appeared. Gasps filled the bridge as everyone saw it for the first time. Floating in the darkness of space was a ship, but it wasn't like any ship they had ever seen before. It was huge, easily 10 times the size of Serenity. Its shape was odd, like a giant, twisted seashell. And it was clearly damaged. Large chunks were missing from its side, and a faint, flickering light pulsed from within. That's not a human ship," Tai Yang said. stating the obvious. No, HFY agreed. It's not. But whatever it is, they need our help. She straightened her uniform and looked around at her crew, both human and wolf. Let's go make some new friends. The Bridge of Serenity was silent as the crew stared at the alien ship on the main screen. It was so big and so strange that it seemed unreal. Captain HFY took a deep breath and turned to her crew. Okay, everyone. This is what we've trained for, she said. Her voice was calm, but her heart was racing. Sungmin, try to contact them. Sungmin nodded and started working on his console. Strange sounds came from the speakers, clicks, whistles, and deep rumbles. The wolves' ears perked up, listening closely. Suddenly, a new sound joined the mix. It was like nothing they had ever heard before. It was beautiful and scary at the same time, like whale song mixed with the sound of wind in trees. That's them. Sungmin shouted. They're responding. HFY leaned forward. Can you translate it? Sungmin shook his head. Not yet. It's too different from any language we know. Just then, Bake, the lead wolf, let out a long, low howl. Everyone turned to look at him in surprise. The other wolves joined in, their voices rising and falling in a complex pattern. The alien sounds from the speaker changed. They started to match the wolves' howls, copying the pattern. They're talking to the wolves, Yuna said in amazement. HFY looked at Bake, then back at the screen. Sungmin, can you match our signal to the wolves' howls? Sungmin nodded and got to work. Soon, a mix of human technology and wolf howls was streaming towards the alien ship. Minutes passed. The crew held their breath. Then, a bright light flashed on the side of the alien ship. A door was opening. They're inviting us in, Taiyang said. HFY nodded. Prepare a shuttle. We're going over there. She looked at the wolves. Buck, Sue, you're coming with us. The rest of you stay here with the ship. As they got ready to board the shuttle, HFY felt a mix of excitement and fear. They were about to meet real aliens for the first time in human history. The shuttle ride to the alien ship was short but tense. As they got closer, they could see how badly damaged the ship was. Large pieces were missing and strange. Glowing liquid was leaking from cracks in the hull. Whatever happened to them, it was bad, Taiyang said quietly. The shuttle entered the alien ship through the open door. Inside, it was dark and misty. Strange shapes loomed in the shadows. The air smelled like flowers and seawater. HFY, Taiyang, and Yuna stepped out of the shuttle, with Bake and Sue close behind. They all wore special suits that would protect them from any alien germs. Suddenly, something moved in the mist. A shape appeared, getting closer. Buck and Sue moved in front of the humans, ready to protect them if needed. The shape became clearer. It was tall, maybe 7 feet high. It had 4 legs and 2 long arms. Its body was covered in what looked like soft, glowing fur. Its head was long, with large, dark eyes and no visible mouth. The alien stopped a few feet away from them. It made a sound, the same beautiful, scary sound they had heard on the ship. Bake stepped forward. He looked at the alien, then back at HFY. His tail wagged once. HFY understood. Slowly, carefully, she reached up and took off her helmet. The others gasped, but she held up a hand to stop them. She took a deep breath of the alien air. It was cool and sweet. Hello, she said to the alien. We're here to help. The alien's fur changed color, from soft blue to bright gold. It reached out one long arm towards HFY. HFY didn't move. She wasn't sure what to do. Then she felt something nudge her hand. It was Bach. He looked at her, then at the alien, and wagged his tail again. Understanding, HFY slowly reached out her own hand. The alien's arm was warm and soft. As they touched, a feeling of calm washed over HFY. Somehow, she knew everything was going to be okay. The alien made another sound, softer this time. More shapes appeared in the mist. More aliens, all different colors. "Well," HFY said, smiling at her team. "Looks like we made some new friends." As the humans and wolves stood there, surrounded by curious aliens, HFY knew this was just the beginning of an amazing adventure. As the mist cleared in the alien ship, HFY and her team found themselves surrounded by more of the tall, furry aliens. The creatures' fur changed colors like mood rings, shifting from curious yellows to calm blues. Yuna stepped forward, her eyes wide with wonder. "Captain," she whispered, "I think their fur changes color based on their emotions." HFY nodded, fascinated. She turned to the first alien they had met, the one with golden fur. "Can you understand us?" she asked slowly. The alien made a series of musical chirps and whistles. Then, to everyone's surprise, it pointed at Bake and Sue. Bake, seeming to understand, let out a short howl. The alien's fur rippled with green and blue colors, and it made a sound that almost seemed like laughter. "I think," Tai Yang said slowly, "they want us to use the wolves to communicate." HFY looked at Buck. "Okay, boy. Can you ask them what happened to their ship?" Beck tilted his head, as if thinking. Then he let out a series of barks and howls. The aliens listened closely, their fur turning deep purple. After a moment, one of the aliens stepped forward. It made a low, sad sound, and its fur turned a deep, dark blue. It waved one of its long arms, and suddenly the air around them shimmered. A 3D image appeared in the middle of the room. It showed the alien ship, but not damaged like it was now. It was beautiful, shining like a giant pearl in space. Then, in the image, another ship appeared. This one was dark and spiky, like a giant metal spider. Red beams shot out from the spider ship, hitting the alien ship again and again. "They're showing us what happened," Yuna gasped. "They were attacked." The image changed, showing the alien ship fleeing, badly damaged. The spider ship was chasing them. HFY's heart raced. The attack isn't over, she realized. They're still being chased. As if to confirm her words, a loud alarm suddenly blared through the ship. The aliens' fur all turned bright red with fear. One of the aliens rushed to a control panel on the wall. It touched some symbols, and a big screen lit up. On it, they could see space outside the ship. And there, getting closer, was a ship that looked just like the spider ship from the image. "It's the attackers," Tai Yang said, his voice tense. They caught up. The aliens were making high-pitched, frightened sounds. Their fur was flashing between red and white. HFY knew she had to act fast. She turned to the golden-furred alien. "We want to help you," she said clearly. She pointed to herself, then to the alien, then made a fist with her hand. "Together, fight." The alien looked at her for a long moment. Then it reached out and touched HFY's fist with its long fingers. Its fur turned a determined orange. "Tai Yang," HFY said, "get back to Serenity. Tell them to prepare for battle. Yuna, you stay here and see if you can help with any injured aliens." "What about you, Captain?" Yuna asked. HFY looked at the approaching enemy ship on the screen. "I'm going to help our new friends fight off these attackers." Bake let out a bark and stood by HFY's side. Sue did the same. The golden-furred alien made a chirping sound and waved for HFY to follow. It led her and the wolves to what looked like the ship's control room. Inside, more aliens were working frantically at strange, glowing panels. The golden alien pointed to an empty panel, then to HFY. HFY understood. They wanted her help to operate the ship. She had no idea how their technology worked, but she knew she had to try. As she stepped up to the panel, Bake and Sue on either side of her, HFY took a deep breath. She didn't know if they could win this fight, but she did know one thing. Humans and their wolf companions had answered the call for help, and they weren't going to give up. The enemy ship grew larger on the screen. The battle was about to begin. The control room of the alien ship was filled with tense energy. HFY stood at the strange control panel, her hands hovering over the glowing symbols. Buck and Sue sat alert at her feet, their eyes fixed on the main screen. On the screen, the enemy ship grew larger. It looked even scarier up close. Its black metal body was covered in sharp spikes, and red lights glowed along its sides like evil eyes. "Okay," HFY said to herself. "Let's figure this out." She touched one of the glowing symbols on her panel. Suddenly, a beam of blue light shot out from the alien ship, barely missing the enemy vessel. The golden-furred alien next to her made an excited chirping sound. Its fur turned bright green. "I guess that's the weapon control," HFY said with a smile. "Now we're getting somewhere." Just then, Tai Yang's voice came through her communicator. "Captain, Serenity is in position. We're ready to help." "Good," HFY replied. "Follow my lead. We're going to protect this ship." The enemy ship fired its first shot. A red beam streaked towards them. HFY quickly touched another symbol on her panel. The alien ship moved sideways, dodging the attack. "Nice move, Captain." Yuna's voice came through the communicator. She was in another part of the alien ship, helping the injured. The battle had begun. The enemy ship fired again and again. HFY worked with the aliens to dodge and return fire. Serenity swooped in, firing its own weapons at the attacker. But the enemy ship was tough. Its black metal armor seemed to absorb their shots without much damage. "We need a new plan," HFY said. She looked down at Bake and Sue. "Any ideas, guys?" To her surprise, Bake stood up and put his paw on the control panel. A hologram appeared in the middle of the room. It showed their ship, Serenity, and the enemy ship. Sue let out a series of barks. The hologram changed, showing Serenity moving to a new position. "I think I get it," HFY said. "Tai Yang, move Serenity behind the enemy ship. We'll attack from both sides." As Serenity moved into position, HFY noticed something. The enemy ship always turned to face its attacker. It can't defend both sides at once, she realized. She quickly explained the plan to the aliens. Their fur turned bright orange with excitement. "Ready, Tai Yang?" HFY asked. "Ready, Captain." Now, both ships fired at the same time. Blue beams from the alien ship and golden beams from Serenity hit the enemy vessel from front and back. The enemy ship shuddered. Explosions bloomed along its spiky sides, but it wasn't defeated yet. It fired back, hitting the alien ship hard. The control room shook. Some of the aliens fell down. Their fur turned pale with fear. HFY gripped her control panel. "Don't give up," she shouted. "We can do this." Bake let out a loud, confident howl. The aliens seemed to draw strength from it. They got back up, their fur turning deep purple with determination. "One more time," HFY said. "Everything we've got." The alien ship and Serenity fired again. This time, their beams met at the center of the enemy ship. There was a bright flash, and then the enemy ship broke apart. Pieces of black metal flew in all directions. The red lights flickered and went out. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then the aliens began to make joyful singing sounds. Their fur turned bright yellow and sparkled like stars. Cheers came through HFY's communicator. The crew of Serenity was celebrating too. HFY let out a deep breath. She reached down and hugged Bake and Sue. "We did it," she said. "We really did it." The golden-furred alien approached her. It made a gentle humming sound and its fur turned a soft, warm pink. It reached out and touched HFY's hand. Somehow, HFY understood. "You're welcome," she said. "That's what friends do. They help each other." As the celebrations continued around her, HFY looked out at the stars. The danger was over, but she had a feeling their adventure was just beginning. After the battle, both ships needed repairs. HFY and the golden-furred alien whom she had started calling Goldie, decided to find a safe place to rest and fix their ships. Goldie showed HFY a star map. It pointed to a place not far away. The alien's fur turned a hopeful green as they chirped and whistled about it. A space station, HFY guessed. Goldie's fur flashed bright blue in agreement. HFY contacted Serenity. Tai Yang, set a course for these coordinates. It looks like our new friends know a place where we can get help. 2 days later, they arrived at the space station. It was huge, like a giant metal flower floating in space. Ships of all shapes and sizes were coming and going. As they got closer, HFY saw that the station was made up of many different parts. Some looked sleek and shiny, others were rough and old. It was like a patchwork of different alien technologies all working together. "Wow," Eunice said, her eyes wide. "It's like a city in space." A voice came through their communication system. It spoke in many languages, one after another. Finally, it said in Korean, "Welcome to Starhaven Station. Please identify yourselves." HFY took a deep breath. "This is Captain HFY of the Earth ship Serenity. We are escorting a ship of..." She paused, realizing she didn't know what to call their new alien friends. Goldie made a soft, musical sound. Somehow, HFY understood. "We are escorting a ship of the Nuri people. They were attacked and need help." There was a long pause. Then the voice said, "Understood. Please proceed to Docking Bay 7. As they approached the docking bay, HFY saw many different alien species. Some had tentacles, others had wings. Some were small like cats, others were huge like elephants. "I've never seen so many different aliens," Tai Yang said in awe. They docked their ships and prepared to leave. HFY turned to Bacon and Sue. "Stay close to me," she said. "We don't know how the aliens here will react to you." As they stepped out of their ships, a group of official-looking aliens approached. They were tall and thin, with shimmering silver skin and 3 eyes. One of them stepped forward. "I am Station Master Zix," it said in perfect Korean. "We welcome the Nuri. But humans, we have not seen your kind before." HFY stood tall. "We're explorers from Earth. We answered the Nuri's distress call and helped fight off their attackers." Zix's 3 eyes blinked in surprise. "You fought the Void Hunters and won." "Void Hunters?" Yuma asked. "A dangerous race," Zix explained. "They attack ships and steal their technology. Many fear them." Just then, Bake and Sue stepped forward. The aliens around them gasped and stepped back. "What are these creatures?" Zix asked, all 3 eyes wide. "They're wolves," HFY said. "They're our companions and helpers. They were crucial in communicating with the Nuri and defeating the Void Hunters." Goldie stepped forward, its fur a calm blue. It made a series of musical sounds. The other Nuri joined in, their fur changing to match Goldie's. Zix listened, then turned back to HFY. "The Nuri speak highly of you and your wolves, but many species here fear predator animals. Your presence may cause problems." HFY felt her heart sink. She looked at Bake and Sue, then at her crew, then at the Nuri. They had come so far together. She couldn't let it end like this. "With all due respect, Station Master Zix," she said firmly, "these wolves are part of our crew. They're intelligent and gentle. They helped save the Nuri. If they're not welcome here, then neither are we." The station grew quiet. All eyes were on HFY and the wolves. Bak sat calmly by her side, his golden eyes meeting Zix's 3 eyes without fear. Zix was quiet for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, it laughed. The sound was like tinkling bells. "Well spoken, Captain," Zix said. "It seems we have much to learn from Earth and its wolves. You are all welcome on Starhaven." The tension broke. The Nuri's fur turned joyful yellow. The other aliens started to come closer, curious about the humans and wolves. As they walked into the station, ready to start repairs and make new friends, HFY smiled. Their adventure was far from over. In fact, it felt like it was just beginning. Over the next few days, Starhaven Station buzzed with excitement. News of the humans and their wolves spread quickly. Many aliens came to see them, curious about these new species. HFY and her crew were busy. They helped repair the Nuri ship and told their story many times. The Nuri, with their color-changing fur, became great friends with the humans. They loved playing with the wolves and learning about Earth. One morning, Station Master Zix called for a big meeting. Leaders from many alien races gathered in a large round room. HFY, Tai Yang, and Yuna were there too, with Bake and Sue by their side. Zix stood in the center of the room. Its three eyes looked at everyone before it spoke. "Friends," it said, "we face a problem. The Void Hunters grow stronger. They attack more ships every day. But now, we have hope." Zix waved a long arm towards HFY and her team. "These humans and their wolves have done what many thought impossible. They defeated the Void Hunters and saved the Nuri." The room filled with excited whispers. HFY felt all eyes on her. She stood up straight, trying to look brave. "Captain HFY," Zix said, "please, tell us how you did it." HFY took a deep breath. She looked down at Bake and Sue, then at her crew. They all nodded, encouraging her. "We didn't do it alone," she said. "We worked together. Humans, wolves, and Nuri. Each of us had different skills. The Nuri had a powerful ship. We had Serenity and her weapons. And the wolves. They helped us understand each other." She reached down and patted Bake's head. "On Earth, wolves were our partners for thousands of years. They helped us hunt, kept us safe, and became our friends. Now they're helping us explore space and make new friends." The aliens listened closely. Some nodded, others made sounds of agreement. "The Void Hunters are strong because they take from others," HFY continued. "But we can be stronger if we work together. Humans, Nuri, and all of you. We can share our knowledge and help each other." The room was quiet for a moment. Then Goldie stepped forward, its fur a deep, rich purple. It made a beautiful, flowing sound. The other Nuri joined in, their fur changing to match. Zix listened, then translated. "The Nuri agree. They offer their friendship and knowledge to all." One by one, other aliens stood up. They spoke in their own languages, but the meaning was clear. They wanted to work together too. Zix's three eyes sparkled with joy. "Then it is decided. Today we form a new alliance. Together we will explore the stars and keep each other safe." The room erupted in cheers. Aliens of all shapes and sizes congratulated each other. The Nuri's fur turned bright, happy yellow. HFY felt a bump against her leg. She looked down to see Bake wagging his tail. Sue was playing with a small tentacled alien, making it laugh. "You know," Tai Yang said, smiling, "when we left Earth, I never imagined this." Yuna nodded. "Me neither, but I'm glad we came." HFY looked around the room. Aliens were petting the wolves, asking questions about Earth, and making plans to visit each other's worlds. "This is what space exploration should be about," she said, "making friends, learning from each other, and working together." As the celebration continued, HFY thought about the long journey home. She knew that when they returned to Earth, they would have an amazing story to tell. Humans and their wolf companions had answered a call for help, and in doing so, they had changed the galaxy. The adventure they had just lived was ending, but HFY knew it was really just the beginning. With their new allies, there would be many more stars to explore, more people to meet, and more chances to show the galaxy what humans and wolves could do together. As if reading her thoughts, Bake let out a happy howl. The sound echoed through the room, a wolf's song among the stars. And to HFY, it sounded like the most beautiful music in the universe.